Hi, super friends. This week we watched.
We bought a zoo.
No, it wasn't.
We
wasn't that.
fought a zoo.
I mean, that is correct, but it's still wrong. We watched just regular zoo. Well, it's not regular, but it is still zoo. We watched zoo.
This zoo could use some Activia to get more regular.
Oh.
Two drums and a cymbal fell off a cliff. Welcome to Goodwatch.
Maybe that's what everyone needs to save the planet. They need Activia. Give it to the animals.
Yeah.
This week sponsored by Activia.
Jamie Lee Curtis, get at us. We'd love to have you on the program. He's Andy.
That guy's Evan.
And this is Bad Watch, a podcast where we watch the shit out of shit. And if you missed it, the name of this week's shit is Zoo, as in the place where you take a child to view animals living in captivity.
And be sad for them.
And this is a very special episode, even though not one of us is not going to be confronted about our drug problem, unlike in a very special sitcom episode. This is Are you even familiar with that trope, Andy? I should ask.
No.
It's a thing. It's a very special episode of Seventh Heaven, and he's like huffing.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I was just like, they made a TV show called Intervention, so like do they do that every week? This week's a very special episode.
This was in the golden age of television before reality television.
I submit that
where
now
they had
is the golden age.
Where writers got to sit around and think up interventions that were entirely fictional.
But I submit that now is the golden age because such gems such as these have drifted into our viewing queue list.
Without the golden age of television, we would never have Zoo, which brought to you by Activia and also our esteemed patron, Bill Geraci, Andy's father, who we contacted about choosing something for us to watch because he is a patron, which you could be too at patreon.com/badwatch. And he wrote back with Zoo and provided no context whatsoever. And I watched the trailer and was so thrilled and delighted.
Evan sent it to me, and I think I replied just in all caps, like multiple, like, what?
I can't stop thinking about this show. So it's a science fiction-y, speculative fiction-y story about, like, what if all of the animals on the world decided, you know what, humans really suck. And that's very much a Michael Crichton sort of premise. Uh-huh. But this also feels like so half-baked that Michael Crichton crapped it out one morning, and then James Patterson was down in the sewers. James Patterson was down in the sewers, and he's like, ooh, I think I'll keep this one. Because this is based on a book by the novelist James Patterson. Well, we haven't read the book, but the show is quite bad. It has definitely informed my opinion of the novel, let's just say.
Yeah, right. I feel like if they got, like, the 90s voiceover guy, in a world where Michael Crichton's turds are released in the wild. Like, this is...
And somehow James Patterson is the only man who can read them. I do think Michael Crichton was smart enough that probably his turds contained novels of a kind. But anyway.
Mm-hmm. So we watched this.
We watched Zoo.
It's so bad. It's so good, though. This is one of my favorites so far. It's so... It crosses the line. Like, there's stuff that we watch that is just not good. There's stuff that's just, like, blah, mediocre. Mm-hmm. This is so bad, it goes right over into it's so bad it's good. It's great. It is hilarious.
It immediately does. And I have to say, this is probably my favorite Bad Watch that we've done so far. And we did watch season 2, episode 1, because we're us, and it's called The Name of the Beast. And there is a pretty decent recap, I feel like, from
it's
season
not
1.
decent because it's it's describing such
decent for what this
things.
show has at its disposal, let's say. At least I was clear, unlike Vampire Diaries, I was clear when the recap ended and the episode proper began. So
that was useful. Wait, is this real? Wait, who is this real time? None of that happened. It was very nice.
Do I have a migraine from that witch or from watching this show? Who can say? But
in a world where witches use constipation as a weapon.
So, as I alluded to earlier, this show is about the animals of the globe contracting some sort of virus. And I guess they say at one point it's not a virus. There's some sort of mutation where they're
all evolving very quickly.
They're all evolving very fast. For whatever reason, one of their pupils gets blown in this evolutionary process. Mm-hmm. And then once their pupil is blown, they want to kill all of the genus species Homo sapiens.
They didn't make it clear that it's they're sentient now, or
no, they are still. My understanding was they are still animals, but they definitely want to kill you now.
Uh-huh.
Sort of like how sharks are all the time. It's now all kingdom Mammalia.
They're hungry for some humans.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all animals, including it's not just. This is the thing. It's not just animals. It also is infecting the insect kingdom. So
at the dawn of this season, there's a great the moment where I laughed the hardest was involving bees.
The bees. So we should probably just launch into it because we're just gonna we're gonna keep prefacing and then slowly describing parts of what happens because it just all wraps up into one gigantic hairy insanity ball.
Yes. And now here's the thing. So the end of season 1 ends. Our 4 intrepid heroes, 2 of them are safari guides, 1 of them is a secret agent, 1 of them is a zoo veterinarian. They've come together. They've joined forces in a ragtag band.
He's not a. It's not a veteran. No, he's a pathologist for. He's a vet. He's a pathologist. Vet.
He's a veterinary pathologist. He works at a zoo.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yes, we got there.
He's a veteran.
We got there.
I was like, wait,
he's a veteran with animals. He's really been in the trenches of a zoo habitat. There at the end,
he has seen some shit.
He's played by the way, Billy Burke, and the last show I watched that he was an actor in, he played a really creepy rapist.
Oh,
and the fact it was I was watching The Closer on Amazon Prime, which is from a decade ago now, but he played a very creepy rapist. And the fact that I wrote it down, he and the love interest, Jamie, who's the journalist who tracks him down in season 1, but is now up in Nova Scotia or some shit fighting off bears. They are 13 years apart.
Also a bison, too. Not to mince mammals or anything.
After the recap, at the end of season 1, our merry band are on a passenger jet, and it is taken down by a horde of vicious-minded birds who slam into the side of the plane, killing themselves and forcing the plane to crash. And this is where Andy's point about the animal sentience comes into question, because it's not as if a regular bird would notice, yes, those great steel birds that can kill us with their circular wing appendages. There are humans on board and we must destroy them.
I think the birds just decided that they hate noise pollution now. That's their main thing.
That's their that's their mutation. Fair. So they take down this plane. Season 2 opens conveniently.
They all survived.
Survived this horrendous plane crash, and conveniently there's a Jeep right nearby. They are driving away from where they crashed, which is conveniently in a city. Because I guess they had just taken off from Washington, D.C.
Is that what happened?
Before
they
were immediately grounded. I
so they
think
ended
so.
right there? Okay, because I wasn't
so.
they didn't show any scenes of of the plane. But you know what? I think they were trying to save that CGI money for what's coming right up next.
So our 4 heroes get in a Humvee, and let's introduce them briefly. There's the 2 safari guides. One of them is white, and one of them is black. And that's really their only character traits. There's a blonde French woman CIA agent. I was really unclear what was going on with her, like what her deal was and why she was involved.
Yeah, I was sort of like, it was sort of very gray. Also, it's sort of like, she's just like, they introduce her in the recap, she's like, what did they say, an intel agent or something? It was
they just say an intelligence agent.
Like, she's not even,
but she has a
like,
French accent? It's very confusing.
They're like, she's the femme fatale of this whole thing.
Yeah, it's sort of like, well, she's blonde, so. And then, of course, Billy Burke, our creepy veterinary pathologist. And they're driving, and they get no more than like 100 yards before there is a wall of animal fur blocking.
Which no one noticed. There are literally. I froze it because I wanted to zoom in. There's like about 30 elephants that they somehow missed on the horizon. From blocks away.
They also appear miraculously as if they rose from the pavement.
Including giraffes. There's wolves, and then actually, so one of the things like I paused it and looked at. There were cows. There were cows in the background.
Oh, were they really?
They cut to like the wolves. I was like, those are cows.
The cows are like, get your hands off my udders, you creepy sick pervert. Oh man, I didn't see the cows. So. It's amazing. They try to evade this wall of animals.
First they break, and the driver guy is like, "Does anyone know what to do?" It's like,
yes,
and
they're like,
"Obviously, you should leave." Like,
and also the two safari guides. Well, and I think also the French woman and Billy Burke are also operating from the standpoint of, if we kill these animals, it's murder for some reason.
They won't be our friends anymore.
Because there's as the government becomes aware of this animal mutation that threatens to wipe out humanity, they come up with the poorly named Noah Initiative or something. Like, I was like, no, Noah saved the animals, you guys?
Well, they're going to save them through murder.
Well, the Noah Initiative, and we can cover this very briefly, they're going to kill all living animals on the Earth currently, and then reintroduce all of the species by magic, I guess, or via Billy Burke skills.
I mean, it's a ridiculous and insane thing that wouldn't work. But it was just so like the main character's like, you can't just do that. Like they had a cutscene in the recap, like, no, that's not gonna work. It was like, I mean, yeah, that's not gonna work. Like, what is this insane plan? Are you gonna nuke everything? I know for the best.
The white boy safari guide is like, I have an idea.
Well,
he tries to do like
they start running away, and then they get hit by a rhinoceros.
Oh, that's right. This is when they get hit by CGI rhino,
which are known for being very sneaky.
Yeah, the rhino sneaks up on them at full speed and charges in the side of their Humvee, and they have to get out because, of course, the gas tank is leaking now. And then, the white boy gets back in.
First, like, the axle looks like it's broken in this car. Also, it's like a massive fountain of liquid like coming out. They're like, no, that's cool. And so, like,
as usual, listeners, Andy is focused on the practicality of these physics.
This is how I roll.
That is the least interesting thing about what happens next, because this man drives faster than a flaming puddle of gasoline.
He's like, I'll get in and drive, and he goes, and spark me or light me when I go, and they're like, what? And he's like, it's happening. So he gets in and drives off, and his other safari guide friend is like, no, he does this like 3 times a week. It's no problem.
Yeah.
So he drives, and he takes a giant crowbar and hits the ground, and there's
creating
spark.
A literal wall of fire that is racing to get up his tailpipe.
Yeah.
And
it's insane.
Somehow he survives.
So he drives away, and this giant wall of flame, which I was like, oh, that's only gonna last for like seconds. Apparently is like
it is permanent.
Yeah, it's permanent.
It's the eternal flame.
All the creatures like, oh man, you got me, boo. I ain't mad at humans no more because I don't like fire.
But he does end up, the brakes fail or something.
Yeah,
on
the brakes fail. Brakes fail, and he decides, instead of just turning and slowing down, he's like, I can run into something, I'll tuck and roll out, it'll be fine.
Yep. And at this point, they did mention he has a gross-looking bite on his arm that he got in the first season from some animal.
Yeah, dog bite.
And a tiger approaches him and sniffs particularly the bite, and then decides to leave him alone. And only the viewers know this. He does not share this with any of the other
in the first 6 minutes of the show, like 17 individual insane things happen. It is so amazing. I just if you don't,
regrettably, that is they cannot keep up that pace. If you watch any part of this show, watch the first 15 minutes. It is wild.
So my favorite, but my favorite. So they don't show the whole interaction with the tiger. They show him tuck and roll. They show him like on the ground, like, oh, I can't move. I'm so hurt.
And then it cuts to the rest of them. They reached the facility they were trying to get to.
Yeah, they're running through initially they started a walk because they're like, oh, we got a wall fire. Nothing, everything's fine.
This is the favorite moment with the bees because it cuts back to the remaining 3 heroes, and the blonde woman is just running around back and forth as CGI bees are swarming around her head, and it is the goofiest thing I have ever seen.
Really bad, and they're like,
it's like so funny.
It's like I think someone off screen is just yelling, "Serpentine, just serpentine."
Do a barrel roll. But then she sees like a Land Rover pulled over to the side of the street, and there's a baby crying. So she hears this baby crying, and inside the Jeep or SUV, whatever, is this mother who's like been stung death by 1,000 bee stings for this woman, and she's holding her baby out to the blonde intelligence agent. She's like, save my child. And like the bees are completely uninterested in the baby, probably because there were no bees actually used in the shot, and they were all CGI'd in later to attack the grown people.
Like she hands off the baby and then just lays down calmly, and it's like, okay. She's so bad.
With the baby safe, the mother's like, finally, the sweet release of bee death.
She was like, I haven't slept in 3 months. Take this child. I'm out.
At last, I can shuffle off this mortal coil.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
So the blonde woman has a baby now, and then she shows up at their destination.
They run away. There's more bees. They run by. It's just like madness in the streets as everything eats everyone. Ugh.
Yes. And then they get to this facility where it's like animal people fighting animals or something. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the woman they're supposed to meet, her motorcade was attacked by like a bear or something, and she's dead. Like, and it's really explained just about that casually. Like, something happens to her with animals, and she's not mourned except for just in passing. It's crazy.
They go there.
But they meet up with this other woman. The hero of the flaming Humvee arrives, and this is when we see what happened with the tiger. The tiger strolls up, sniffs his dog bite on his
licks
arm,
him a little bit,
and gives him a little kiss, like, you'll be fine. And then the tiger saunters off. And that was actually some of the better CGI.
It was. But
someone clearly put some time into that, but it still looked.
He's
ridiculous.
like, I don't need to tell anyone that this happened because
he doesn't
this is all
tell
fine.
anyone that he survived because he was bitten, presumably by an infected animal.
Right.
Like if that knowledge were made public, this show probably would be a lot shorter.
Yeah. I mean, logic none of that needs to apply.
But he doesn't tell anyone, not his lady love French woman, not his sidekick safari guide. Abraham? I think Abraham is the sidekick.
I think so.
And then, the white guy's name, it's like Jack Oz or something.
Okay.
It's something really dumb.
It's just ridiculous.
I was like, Oz? Really, James Patterson? I don't think that was in the Michael Crichton initial draft. Then, the blonde is talking in a weird accent, holding the baby this whole time. The hero takes off his shirt because he's indoors now, and that's a normal thing to do. I wrote down dead mama baby drama. And by the way, they set it up so that this baby is going to be a major plot point, I guess, throughout the whole season. But no, like 10 minutes in, the baby's father shows up, unharmed, unstung by any bees, and the baby disappears forever.
Yeah. They just hand him off, and they're like, all right, cool, we're out. So cut to Canada, where the reporter lady is with someone. I think she's got like the cure. There's like a Jaguar that has the cure to this whole situation or something that was on the plane that I guess also survived the plane. I mean, I don't think anyone actually died in the plane crash.
No one died in the plane crash. And the leopard and the journalist, they were separate somewhere. For some reason in like Nova Scotia or Newfoundland or something. Yeah, they're up in the Great White North. And this leopard, for whatever reason, was infected but doesn't want to kill all humans. But after this episode, it probably does. Just spoiler alert. And the journalist is there because who should travel with a leopard? Obviously, a journalist.
So she's with this old guy, and she's like, we're gonna like write a book about you. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, she's saying with some like indigenous person who lives up in that region, and he literally goes outside and he's
But my
thrown back through
favorite
the
part
door
is she
by
looks
a bear
over and there's like some
immediately.
little those little tiny nocturnal monkeys, so like with the huge eyes.
It's a
She's
little
like,
lemur, I
what
think.
What are you doing, buddy? I was like, oh, the animal scouts, the tribe comes, and then the old guy like looks out the door, and that's when he gets just bone crushed, and then she like the jaguar's like in a cage thing.
It's a leopard.
Okay. Sure. But she's like, we need to get you safe, and so it's in like this wooden crate. And she's gonna like bring it downstairs. She just slides that fucker down the stairs and just like it just breaks open. And the jaguar's just like a leopard, whatever. It's just like, oh shit,
Jaguar's
bro.
like, I think I need a new carrier, bitch. Like
she just tried to kill the cure. I think it was really ridiculous.
Yeah. So not only does she push this humanity's only hope for a cure down the stairs, she then ties it up with some rope and crawls out the basement window and abandons the only hope for humanity's survival.
She runs down there with it. She's just hanging out with the leopard, who is like, no, I'm cool with humans, bro. So then that's when it cuts back to the craziness in Washington D.C.
Yeah, and they get on a chopper and they're doing tests. Yeah. And Billy Burke is like, we gotta save Jamie and the leopard.
Yeah.
And they fly off. Well, it's funny because she's like, only one of you can go with the SEAL team. And then someone's like, well, I don't... I think the white boy Oz is like, well, I don't go if he doesn't go, pointing to Abraham. Mm-hmm. And then Billy Burke is like, I need to be there to save Jamie. And then the woman, this like bureaucrat, is like, well, I guess everyone's coming. That's fine.
Yeah. It was really great.
It's so funny. They fly up north, and it cuts back to Jamie.
You missed the interaction with the SEAL team.
Oh, there was that hallway moment.
It was so strange.
Fucking damn it.
So they're the SEAL team comes up or whatever, these military dudes, and they're like, I have never witnessed this in any film or any popular culture reference where the military dudes are like, nerds are the best. Like, I've never seen that, and they did that here, and it was so strange.
The military dudes walk up and they're like, yo, are you the science people who figured out what the fuck's wrong with these animals? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, sweet, nerds are fucking rad. Let's get on that chopper.
It's an honor to meet you. I was like, what is happening right now?
It is... they're trying to sort of do like how this nerds shall inherit the earth because they understand animals or something. It's so fucking stupid.
It was just like...
This is the one point where I actually got a little mad at the show. I was like, this feels so contrived and just so fucking dumb.
I was like, none of this interaction would happen. They were just like, it's time to go. It's like, we have a job to do. The world is ending. Let's go.
Yeah, this would never happen. Nothing like this would happen. And then it's something absurd like, get on the chopper in 10 seconds. It's like, then what the fuck are you doing in this hallway? Like, what? It's so dumb. Anyway, we cut back to Jamie, who is... this is when I wrote down Bison, Wolves, SEAL Team 6... with exclamation points, because there's wolves outside the indigenous person's house with the leopard. There's bison, and they're all trying to get at Jamie.
Well,
there's
they know
some
that
other
she
random
knows
dogs.
things.
She runs off.
Yeah, so she ties the leopard up in the basement, then crawls out the window with a big rope, to show people where she went, and she runs off, and the wolves are chasing her down.
Not only keep the window from closing shut behind her,
or something, and then she turns back and goes, "Please stay in there, leopard," and then she runs off, and then the wolves are chasing her, and I was just like, I mean, wolves are scary. Like, you're gonna lose that, and the bison is also chasing her, and she somehow is fine. And then the SEAL team, they all land on a helicopter because I don't know why they were apparently afraid of flying a little bit ago, but now they're not afraid because they have a military chopper, and that works. I don't It's very strange.
Yeah.
So.
And they find the leopard in the basement.
Target
and they see a rope leading they see a rope leading out the window because Jamie's a clever girl, like a raptor.
Clever girl.
And she's off in the woods hiding under a tree trunk or something. And they get the leopard on the plane.
Because the wolves couldn't find her. Because she...
Yeah.
The wolves... Were...
This is where the whole thing starts to fall apart. It's like the birds are smart enough to know to take down a plane, but the wolves and bison are not smart enough to track down a journalist who does not have survival training.
They got them sniffers confused.
It's so baffling.
You know what they didn't show? They should have just had her like run and like throw, like she grabbed like a big thing of pepper from the storage pantry or something. There you go. I helped it. Just have her throw pepper and they can't sniff her. That works.
I mean, sure. Let's assume she did that.
She's pocket pepper.
She took some red pepper flakes, and But the SEAL team arrives. They fight off the animals. They get the leopard, and the vet is like, "We have to go find Jamie. We have to go find Jamie." And then they're like, "No, we have to go." And then he's like, "No," and he literally sits down, crosses his arms, and sits down on the grass because he's like, "I'm not leaving without her."
It's so insane. And then he notices the rope. It's so dumb.
It's so silly. And then he gets on the chopper, and now he hates Abraham because Abraham was the one who like basically picked him up off the ground and put him in the helicopter. Yeah, because
Abraham's he's like, well, we ain't looking around. We gotta save the world. Jamie isn't the world.
The blonde woman.
Yeah, we're back in D.C. and she gets news from.
This is when the daddy picks up Chekhov's baby.
Yeah.
Who hopefully will come back, the son of Chekhov.
They just walk away, and then she's like, well, cool.
They just, and the baby is never spoken of again until I get my hands on this show. Then she poses as Mr. Oz's, she poses as Mrs. Oz to get a look at his blood work. And I'm thinking, like, my initial thought, I was like, oh, so they for sure, like, kissed in the recap, so they're boning, and she wants to know if she has AIDS. Like, that was where my mind immediately went.
Really?
Which is, that probably says more about me than I would care to admit. But
I thought she was like, actually... I'm suspicious of things. Turns out, nuh-uh. Yeah. She is not suspicious. She's going to help this man come hell or high water. And by that I mean, she finds out that his blood type has changed and says, no BD, I got you, boo. I'm gonna hide that.
Number one, I don't even know my own blood type, but this woman knows her lover's blood type and the fact that it has changed and is posing as his spouse.
His blood type has changed, which is absurd. And so now she's like, no, this is standard. Every man I love, his blood type changes. It's fine. Like.
Yeah, maybe she's the thing. Or, like, it would be hilarious if she was checking his blood type to see if he was pregnant because they did not use protection.
That's the new system. I impregnate.
That's the new system.
That's why she's the femme fatale. Yeah. She impregnates man.
Yeah, she's actually an alien who started this whole thing. Oh, man. We're off to the races, baby.
Now, we've made a better show.
They get the leopard back. Pocket pepper. They get the leopard back. The government scientists are trying to like develop a cure and test it on this like rabid hyena or something, or not rabid, but a hyena who does have the mutation. Yeah. And Billy Burke is up in the operating theater
pacing,
gallery.
Like, you don't know anything about science.
Like, they're doing it fucking wrong. I'm a better person. Blah. And,
I'm like 3 times faster than you in science.
He runs down, and their cure, it's literally, they take an enormous syringe, and I was like, dang. And then I was like, oh, wait, there's no needle. And he just shoots a bunch of liquid in the dog's mouth. And I was like, this seems like an inefficient way to introduce a vaccine.
It's so ridiculous.
It's especially with an animal that has as much saliva as a canine. But anyway, I was like, clearly they didn't have the animal handling budget to like actually inoculate like a placebo or something into these poor animals. But then they're like, the mutation mutated. And one of the bureaucrat people is like, that sounds like something I heard from some other animal geek.
Yeah.
Cut to Patagonia. And there's a white guy and a bunch of soldiers marching through the Pacific Northwest. But it's actually Patagonia.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Definitely. And they're hunting something.
Yeah, they're trying to track the next level of this mutation. They want to find an animal that has had the mutation long enough to have leveled up, essentially. And so very quickly, like, they're trying to guess the name of one of the guys. His spouse is expecting their first child, and they're trying to guess the name of the baby. And I was like, oh, he's gonna die.
I was like,
if they're talking about like wifey and baby back home, he dies.
For sure. I was like, oh, they're just trying to talk these people up for a minute before they murder everyone. We cut back and we're now with the original crew, and they are on a plane. They're being given a plane to go meet this guy.
It's a multi-story plane. Veterinary pathologist JK, he didn't quit because where else am I gonna go? Jamie's up in Nova Scotia and no one likes me, so
he's so mad.
And then
he's like over it real quick. He's like, I moved on now because now
everyone else is over it too.
Yes,
they're fancy plane flying to Patagonia, Pacific Northwest.
But the plane is so absurd. They're like, it's
like two Air Force Ones stacked together. It's like a Big Mac Air Force One.
There's a grand staircase. They make a joke like, oh, I asked for a basketball court up here, and it's like, haha, but for real, this is a giant waste of space. What the fuck is this whole design?
There's room for a hoop. They could play half court for sure.
But when I was thinking about it, I was like, they're just going to use this for like the rest of the show as like the place where they go. So I was like, they need space for them to like have their character to character moments. So I was like, okay. It makes sense.
It's their dumb HQ. Yeah. And cut back to white guy scientists. They find the camp of dead hikers. He tests something with test tube magic, and he's like, they were killed by a phase 2 mutation. Mm-hmm. And they find like a camping site or outpost, some sort of little cabin thing, and they post up there where they're all immediately killed, except for one woman who takes out a very horrifying, like...
It's ManBearPig. It's ManBearPig.
It is actually ManBearPig. So ManBearPig takes out all of the soldiers and the scientists except for one, and she kills him by like stabbing him into the floor with a metal stick or something.
Yeah, that whole fight was terrible. But yeah,
the whole fight was really poorly choreographed and poorly shot. But she survives and pins him to the ground just in time for our 4 intrepid heroes to arrive on Mansion Plane.
And she's like, "You're late." And this is, I'm assuming, what one of our heroes is going to turn into. And like the lady, the intel lady she's there, right? Yeah. She's like, doesn't make the leap. She's like, no, everything's fine. His blood type changed. He's not going to do this.
There's also a point where they get off the plane and they drive off the plane in these fancy little Jeeps. And the veterinarian turns on the radio stereo, I guess to stop talking to Mr. Oz. And it's broadcasting rock music. And I was like, the world is fucking ending. Who is playing, like fucking Soundgarden in like Argentina? It's so stupid.
It's pirate radio, man.
Actually, I would love it if the world starts ending and someone's first priority is, I gotta set up my pirate radio. That would be incredible.
I was going to make a joke about the band. Wait, hold on, I'm going to ruin this now. But there is a band,
Of course, right? You are, because you're trying to make a pop culture reference.
Right?
There was a band, The Birds. So how did they spell their name, Andy?
There's a Y. Right?
Oh, you mean Yerds.
The Beards.
Birds with a Y, the Yerds. Oh my god, that's the dumbest joke I've ever made. Okay, please continue with your bad reference.
Thank you. Okay, so, but I was going to make a joke and say, it's the Birds, because the Birds are now smart enough to make their own radio station. Ha ha ha!
That's what they've been doing on those power lines this whole time. Just picking up signals, baby.
They're broadcasting the Birds, their favorite band.
Well, it's not the Birds, it's Soundgarden, but it's fine.
Well, he didn't hit the right frequency. Obviously.
I guess not. These fucking yahoos, white people down in Patagonia. So what do you think is going to happen? I do think we are going to have another ManBearPig in Mr. Oz, Safari Guide Extraordinaire.
I'm very excited. Like, that'll be the end of season 2 when that happens. It'll be another 2
That'll
episodes.
Be the end of it. Well, I think the rest of this season, he's going to come clean about getting licked by the tiger, and that his blood type changed, and that he is mutating into phase 2 monster, and then they're going to use him as their new leopard to find some cure.
Yeah, and but he's still gonna, obviously he has to retain the ability to speak, and there's just gonna be a lot of scenes with him in the cage, pacing and lots of tension, but it's not gonna be real tension because this
the
is
Safari Guide has become the Safari? No, that's okay.
It's the Safari within.
It's a safari of the soul. Chicken soup for the Safari Guide soul. That exists. Oh god, it's probably only published in Swahili though. In any event, that's Zoo, the name of the beast, which actually they fail to live up to that promise. We don't learn the name of any beast.
It was Jim.
There you go.
His name was
Beast.
His name was James Patterson or whatever the line is from.
Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory? The man known for playing Sheldon? Wait, is that the joke you're trying to make? What?
No.
James Patterson? Is that the name you were reaching for?
No. Oh my god.
The author of the book that inspired this show?
Yes. We'll just say yes, and I'll look it up in the background and tell you eventually.
I'll save you, Andy. Be quiet with your keyboard clicks while you're looking that up. Good watch. So, over the weekend, I watched a movie that is streaming on Amazon Prime called High Life, and now, Andy, I'm going to make a killer reference that you're not going to get.
Great.
Despite the fact that it sounds like a documentary or biopic about the musician Steve Winwood, it's actually a really interesting science fiction story starring Robert Pattinson and Juliette Binoche is, I think, her name. She's one of the other people in it. Actually, she's more of a minor character. It's really Robert Pattinson's show, baby. He's great. And it's hard to... I actually wouldn't even recommend you look it up on Wikipedia, even though I know we always link to Wikipedia in our episode descriptions.
Okay.
So I guess if you're curious about a science fiction film starring Robert Pattinson, I highly encourage you to check it out. It sort of asks the question of, like, we have all of this scientific progress, but if we don't do something meaningful with it or do something that is beneficial to our basic humanity, then what is it really for? And I found it's very challenging. It is like 2 hours long, and it's sort of like a Castaway vibe, but there is another main character as well. You should have to check it out. It's one of those movies you need to watch and then come talk to me about, everyone.
So listeners,
you can reach us at badwatchpod@gmail.com.
We look forward
to your responses.
To your hundreds of mailed in letters.
But yeah, High Life, the non-Steve Winwood related film on Amazon Prime.
Okay. That sounds very interesting. I'll have to check it out.
By the way, everyone is loving my Steve Winwood reference.
I can feel the tweets right now.
Can you feel it calling in the air tonight?
No.
Because that's Phil Collins and you fucking can't. So
I said no. Just on a whim. I said no.
Because you didn't recognize this as Phil Collins reference. Oh, I hate this. This is my hell. Ugh.
Okay, so now for my good watch, I watched The Politician. Allison started watching it, and I was like...
Now, hold on. I need to stop you, because you suggested this as a bad watch.
Yes.
And now you're suggesting it as a good watch. One of the most poorly reviewed shows of the year.
Wait, it is poorly reviewed?
It's extremely poorly reviewed. No one likes it except for you.
I started to...
And maybe Gwyneth Paltrow.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of her, but the absurdist... It's a lot of absurdist comedy, and I have a funny bone for that. I really enjoy it. So initially there was a lot of like, I can't believe they're doing this. And then it sort of turned into, all right, this is like the whole rhythm of the show. And I was like, it sort of pulled it out for me. So it took a bit, but I ended up really enjoying it. I don't want to say too much, but it's... Oh
yeah, you wouldn't want to spoil the prestige television show, The Politician.
I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now having open auditions for a new co-host. It'll be Hunger Games style, where we'll have a 3-way call between you, Andy, and myself, and whoever gets more of my cultural references wins. And spoiler alert, that will be anyone but Andy.
It's pretty much guaranteed. If we put my cat Lola up here, she'd probably get more references.
You cannot fuck this up, let's put it that way. I can't believe you're recommending a show that just days ago you said, I think we should cover that on the podcast.
You know what? I would be okay with being like watching like one or two, but like overall, once you start watching it, I really enjoyed it. The absurdist comedy really hit a spot for me. It was really fun.
I'm the one responsible for updating our websites with all of the shows we recommend, and I might conveniently forget to add this.
No,
one.
you can add it and say he's an idiot or something like that. Like, this is a good watch recommended by a madman.
Recommended by Andy and no one else because it's garbage featuring Gwyneth Paltrow of Goop fame.
She is not like the main character, thank God. It's so insane. I loved it.
You're insane.
It did take a bit, but it got there.
Okay, there is a qualifier, of course. That's what we always want to include with our show recommendations. It's a real mediocre until you get halfway through, and then I promise it's better.
Then it will rock your world.
If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Give us all the stars and say nice things. And if you want to say that Andy's pop culture references are bad and he has poor taste in television, that's great. I agree.
You'd be wrong, but that's okay. I respect
My
your
name is
opinion.
Evan, and I approve that hypothetical message.
I'm Andy, and I vote no on prop Andy out.
So I want to test out a new sign off that I came up with, and hopefully you haven't already seen it in the show outline, because unthinkingly I did put it there this afternoon when I thought of it.
Okay, I have not looked.
So let's do our normal thing, where you say,
"That guy's Evan."
Wait, no, shit, I fucked it up that time. Now I'm canceled. Canceled culture has gone too far.
On yourself?
Yes, I'm canceled. Everyone, he's Andy.
That guy's Evan.
And this is, let me try that again. This
is a great sign. Wait, I'm looking at it right now, everyone. It is a single sentence. It's 4 words, and Evan messed it up.
Bad Watch, the Baywatch of podcasts.
All right, excellent.
I gotta chuckle out of Andy. That's one cultural reference, I guess.
I think I'm mostly just proud. I'm like a proud parent as you completed that sentence.
Rehearsals. They're important. Okay, good night. Oh, dear Jesus.